Brilliant. Well, good morning, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world today. Unfortunately, this is the second time that I'm having to do a pre-recorded interview. I do know that we all love our lives, but my Instagram has just been acting the fool the last couple of days, so we're not quite sure why. But we're very excited to have Esther Apoussidis with us here today, and I finally got the pronunciation correct.
Spot on.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So very good to have you here with us today, Esther. And as always, before we get into exactly what it is you do over at Energy Transformations, please do tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you onto this journey.
Right. Okay. I was on maternity leave, almost 45 years of age. I was a geriatric mother, but a mother for the third time. And I decided, I just literally, I had a sinking heart, the thought of going back to work. And at the time I was employed by a software company, a Microsoft partner, and I was employed as a marketing manager. And I'd always been frustrated that my voice wasn't being heard, that I was always sort of bulldozed into agreeing with the senior management on certain things that my opinion didn't count so much. And I'm very creative and artistic, and I had lots of maybe not quite sort of your normal sort of ideas, something wacky and different, but I thought just being different in a very male-dominated environment would actually may sort of stand out from the crowd, but they thought differently. And so I always had that frustration that I really wasn't being listened to properly or given a chance, at least sort of take a chance on me, and bet me. And so I felt like my heart was sinking at the thought of going back after 7 months of maternity leave. And my husband said, or a friend said, actually, you've got a great talent for baking cakes. Why don't you do something with that? And I think she didn't think I would go full steam ahead. But my husband encouraged me to open up a coffee shop. So that was my first taste of being an entrepreneur. So we set one up. So we forged the plans, we wrote them all out whilst I was still on maternity leave, and then we opened up after my son was born. We had a few sticking problems with the bank. They promised us, and we said, no, tomorrow we're signing the lease on the leasehold. Is it still okay? And we in agreement? And we struggled to get hold of our relationship manager at the bank. And I think the reason why was that he let us down last minute at the 11th hour. We had a plan B, fortunately, but he just pulled the rug from under our feet, and we didn't get the funding that we needed. And the reason being was that he thought that it was just too risky. We had a young child. Would it be too much of a burden, too overwhelming? And in that, I saw maybe a discrimination against me as an older mother, but with a very young baby and two other boys. They were at the time sort of 6 and 12. And they just said it was just too much. Although I said, my husband's helping me with this, we're going to do it together. But that still didn't seem to rinse with them. And so we went ahead, and to be honest, we went the more expensive route of lease finance. We paid an awful lot of money back. It was like 14% APR on the loan to get funding for the capital investment that we need. And we actually took out extra mortgage on our house. So we had, fortunately, enough equity, quite a good equity in our house. So we used that then for the working capital. And to be honest, it was like with a bit of smugness that 2 years later I had 2 awards in my bag, that we had actually pushed through the VAT threshold within the first 14 months, and we really were very successful in the first couple of years, so much so that my husband said, well, why don't we branch out and open up a second shop? And that would be not in our local valley town in South Wales, but it would be in the capital city in Cardiff of Wales. So we did in a very in the tourist area, in an old Victorian arcade shop facing the Cardiff Castle. We thought it was a good location, but the only trouble is it was very narrow and constricted in terms of it, but it was more different levels. It was like you come in, there was a basement, and then there was an upper floor, which didn't really allow for any seating. It was just like a big landing area we extended out the bathroom area, the toilet facilities up there, because it was very small, but lots of landing. But yeah, there were lots of challenges. Again, we We had to, we had problems with the boiler. We were delayed in opening, and we didn't open until September. And we were supposed to open in time for the summer season, the tourist season, but it just, everything, there were all sorts of spanners in the work. It just seemed like we were always being fraught with difficulties, our ventures in the coffee shop world. But we did open finally in September, and it was a dull, rainy day. The schools were back and no more tourists in the area. And so I think we just struggled from the outset. We had quite a bit of money. I took out a self-invested personal pension. So I put all my savings, all my personal pension savings into that second shop, and it didn't quite work. We just literally, money kept sort of rolling out fast, and it was coming in. And so I had my taste of, bitter taste of failure too. And we decided my husband's health was also in decline because he was worried about his mother, who'd collapsed a couple of weeks into opening that shop. In Greece, where then she had a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. So she was malnourished, hadn't been looking after herself. So there were lots going on in the background. My mother's health was failing as well. And it was just an awful time. And this is my story because, it came really to a climax after I lost my mother. There was a reason, I was cleaning the local shop, so I was still running that one. We were supposed to have sold that and then focused only on the Cardiff, but because that didn't work out, we decided to stick with the local one, and because it was just literally 5-10 minutes down the road, as opposed to Cardiff, from where we lived, it was nearly half an hour's journey, and often busy with the traffic. So so we did just get rid of that one. So I lost probably about £60,000 in that venture. We did get a bit of money back, and we also nearly lost the roof of our heads because that we used as collateral, because we were sort of wondering whether we were going to get a buyer, but we actually did manage to find somebody to take it over, but with a loss, because we spent so much money on it. And that is one mistake, one big learning, that never invest so much money in a leasehold property when it's not your own, because I think we always want this, we have this ideal or this vision of it being so idyllic, beautiful, we were literally, the decor was amazing. We spent so much money. We had like coffee cups hanging from the ceiling. We had like little different mobiles and everything, and old coffee grinders on the wall. Lots of little collectible items. Even when we were breaking down the toilet, the partition wall, one of the partition walls to extend the bathroom area, we found an old receipt going back to the 1800s, and we framed it. Why it was in the wall, I don't know. It was just like from some I don't know what it was for. I can't remember what it was. It was some transaction for food or whatever. But it was just amazing. It was just yellowed, but it was in the wall. Anyway, to cut a long story short, when I was cleaning up in our local shop, and I'd only just come back from Spain from a 2-week, 6-day trip, which my eldest son had funded for my 50th birthday, and I'd been cleaning away, and then I had this big compelling, my heart was like calling out to me, like, visit your mother. And I had only visited a couple of days, about 4 or 5 days before, and I was due to visit in 2 days. And I thought, I don't have the time. I really don't. I've got to, finish the cleaning, pop to the shop on the way home, feed the boys, because by that time my husband already got back into HGV as a HGV driver, back into working, so he was away a lot. And and I just thought, well, by the time I have to drive into Cardiff, it's only a 20-minute. I've only got 15 minutes visit time. It really isn't worth it. But I wish I had listened to that, some pull on my heart. I don't know what it was. It was some message, I don't know whether you call it intuition. I say it's my heart speaking to me, or a message from God or from my mother spiritually, I don't know. But the next morning I went along to the shop, happy as anything. My own were reaching. It was market day, it was busy. I went in, my son literally said, it looked white as a sheet. He said, you need to go, something bad has happened. You need to go to the hospital right now, all the way to Cardiff. And I just knew something bad had happened. And by the time I got there, my mother was just literally slipping into unconsciousness, out of consciousness. She'd had a massive stroke a couple of hours before in that morning. And I just thought, God, I wish I'd heeded that message. There was something compelling me to respond to that. And then even thinking back to when we were writing the business plan, you know, it was all wonderfully laid out, the research, but yeah, there was some other sixth sense telling me that something was off, you know, was off kilter, and I don't know what it was. It's a similar sensation. So I always see this as either this heart, this sixth sense, or whatever telling me something. And then I went through a bit of a people may call it midlife crisis. I don't know. I went through a crossroads again, you know, thinking after I just decided I didn't want to carry on with the coffee shop business because I was literally working to employ other people and I wasn't paying myself properly. And my heart wasn't in it anymore, you know, literally my heart wasn't in it. You know, once I lost my mother, I just literally carried on. I was just going through the motions for another 6 months, and we managed to get a buyer to take it off our hands. And then I was left in the quandary, what do I do next? And then funny enough, I thought, oh, I've always had a fascination for reflexology. So that's how I started training in holistic therapies. So I was trained in massage, beauty treatments, and then went on to reflexology. And as I was doing this, I also took on, and well, I went into worked with a network marketing company, and they obviously train you a lot on the invest a lot in self-development. And I read a lot about, you know, the Think and Grow Rich, and about how your thoughts create your reality and all those things. And then because I was just more open-minded about things, and I think that was the start of my spiritual journey in a way, and my receptors, my antennae were up. And then somebody came across on a Facebook Live talking about this energy alignment method, and I thought, oh, this sounds fascinating, I've got to know more about this. So I connected with her, and she put me in touch of the lady who had created this. It's a type of applied kinesiology. It uses the whole body as a sway mechanism, and it's a way of tapping into our energy. So we hold, you know, either we call them resistances in our energy. When something's stopping us from moving forward is a resistance, or sometimes what we could say is a reversal. It's a very strong resistance in our energy. And so whether that's a belief or thought or an emotion, well, obviously thoughts and emotions are very closely tied into one another. But it's a quick way of releasing them, and a way of actually aligning to something that's more positive, getting us on a higher vibration. So we work with the law of vibration, moving us up from a low frequency to a higher frequency, or resonance, energetic resonance, so that we become more, we literally become more attractive, you know. We attract then, so like attracts like. We are like magnet, well, you know, no, but we do attract when we're in high vibration. So we attract positive energy to us. And so circumstances, people that actually help co-create our circumstances in tune with our vision or our thoughts, where we want to be. But obviously it does require us just getting over all our limitations, all our thought self-limiting beliefs. And as a woman, I think we do suffer a lot more, maybe, this idea that we're not good enough, that we're somehow substandard, inferior, or we have to do more to prove our worth. And that's always been with me my whole life, because I was raised as a family of 7 with 5 brothers. So it was very, very competitive. And my sister was the youngest, and I was somewhere in between. And so it was always like, even my father, pushing us to do better, get college degree and so forth. So it's always this idea that we have to, it's never good enough. We always want to earn his admiration or his praise, and we'll always do better than our siblings, It's always that competition. So so that's always been a challenge for me. So having a system then to be able to sort of just dismantle those beliefs, deconstruct them in a way that then doesn't hold in our energy. And then we actually doing it seems weird, but doing the actual, because it repeats like a mantra, it's like through repetition, through neuroscience. It's funny because we're talking to our energy, and I say it out loud, so because our voice carries a strong energy as well. And even doing it, it's really strange, because the next day, if I don't do it, then I feel a little bit lower in my energy.
Yes.
And the lady says she's got some, I don't know what tool she's got. She works with the Heart Map Institute. They've got and she said, I can actually measure that we are actually at a higher energetic vibration when we do this method.
Okay.
And I think, that's interesting to know, but I do notice it. My feelings are, I feel a little bit more low when I don't do it on a consistent basis. And then I think, I wonder what is not right. And then I realize I haven't practiced this. So it is a case of, you need to stay on top of it, because, we're only good as obviously our shield around us. We are affected by other people's energy. So we've got to make sure we stay in high vibration energy. That's why it's always encouraged that you are, or they say that you are the average of the 5 people around you. So if you are in a family where they don't believe all this stuff, they think you're all a bit nonsense, got a bit woo-woo, then it's a way of sort of detaching yourself from that and just working on your energetic vibration. So then I learned it, and I qualified then as a mentor. So you go through a 10-month program initially as a student to master this, go through it, and then you train as a mentor. So you train in the business side of it, and also in the as a leader, really, leadership skills. So that then took me on to almost where I am now, because I was running a spa center. I took because what was happening as part of doing that shifting of energy within me, I started then becoming more positive in my outlook and obviously my energy. And then I got another full-time marketing job working for a small company. They were going places. And I helped them get 2 Queen's Awards in the space of 2 years.
Wow.
And so they were really, really starting to grow really well. And then COVID struck. And then I had to shut my therapy center, which I was doing in the evenings on a weekend. And I was on furlough. And then finally, I think they decided marketing wasn't going to be the main focus for them. They wanted somebody who they combined HR and marketing into one job. And the incumbent person, the fella who was there doing the HR stuff, he got that job rather than me. I was put on furlough. So again, it's like that, is that bit of history repeating itself that I feel like I've been pushed to one side. And despite I put a strong case, I even appealed the redundancy because there were quite a few things that were not quite right. And they admitted they'd made some no, they didn't say they didn't admit to errors, but they admitted that they could have improved the process. So that was an admission for them. But so I ended up being without a job. So I messed around for a couple of months because I obviously had some redundancy money. I did some sales training again, because I think I'm very good at the marketing side, but my sales can be a little bit lacking, or I think I'm a people pleaser. So sometimes when I feel like I'm asking somebody for sale, I'm a bit tentative about it. And so I needed that sort of drive, that assertiveness. And so I did some training with a lady called Bernadette Doyle. And then she saw that how good I was in interacting with her students in the group. So she invited me to be one of her team members. So I did that for a couple of months up until Christmas or the end of the year last year. And then I thought, I've got to be serious about my own business. I've got to work on myself. So that's when I started working on promoting myself more, working on my group, building my own Facebook group. And I mean, through a bit of her training, because she said, just work on your own group. I had already started it, but I wasn't being as consistent as I should have been. So I became more consistent, and, I've grown it to a fair size now. I mean, it's still growing. And and I talk a lot about this whole idea of where we are. So I've got a Power Talk series running. So the power of, our choice, power of our intention, power of our heart. So coming back to the heart story, and power of thoughts, power of our words. So it's something I've been exploring. I've been inviting people in as guests. So we've recently just looked at the power of intuition. So I had a lady on who does her own podcast on the art of intuition. So it's been a development, a path for me, a path of growth, a path of experimentation, if you like, finding my wings again, my new wings, and unfurling them. And, I think when you start being more serious and focused, what happens, because I then invested in a one-on-one coach as well, and then I started getting more business. I started getting the clients, the one-on-ones. So, and that's where I am. So I help women. So I like to see myself helping women who are 4 or 5 years before me, who are at that crossroads, thinking,
Right.
what's happened, especially now with COVID and the fallout from that. And maybe they've had an upset with being made redundant, or they're just in a job that they're not liking, or they have their own, they are a solopreneur, but something is not clicking for them, something is not ticking along nicely, and it's often down to their energy. So we address that using this, and then work out what's holding them back. And it can often be past relationships. There's a very complex dynamic. People think, oh, my business is, maybe it's the marketing. And I think, no, it's not always the marketing. It's quite often not, actually. And it's often like the repeating patterns that these embedded beliefs that we have from very young age, and it's often something that's passed on to us from either the father or the mother or both. And so we just take it on, and our subconscious has a way of sort of rewiring those thoughts, of fusing them, and then finding in our current experiences, finding references in the past to make sense of what's happening now. And it just adds layer upon layer of resistant energy. And that's what we do. We sort of peel the onion, as it were. Right. We release all the layers of negative or resistant energy. And, eventually we become lighter, and it becomes easier. And the more we do it, the easier we can get back to what we call inflow energy, high vibration energy. So, I work with women a lot on that basis, working on the energy, but also in a practical way, because I've been working in a marketing field for nearly 30 years. So if they've got an issue and they think, oh, what should I do now with my business? And I give them some suggestions as to what I can do. And then we check in as well. We use the sway mechanism. Is this right for this person? Because there is no one blueprint there's no quick fix in marketing. People think that, by getting clients is like, just follow X, Y, Z, and it doesn't work like that. It's never a linear path, and everybody's energy is unique. And the more stuck they are, the less likely they're going to have that desired outcome, So yeah, it works really well. It's a different approach to marketing, but it's definitely working with their energy first, and then getting that in flow and in alignment, and working out what actually keeps them in flow. So I always say, focus on the journey rather than the end result, because as soon as they start getting fixated about a financial outcome, or I've got to have X number of clients giving me X amount of income, it becomes all about that rather than this higher purpose that we're here to serve. We're serving others rather than self-serving. And as soon as you take away the ego in a way, this self-serving ego, then it becomes it becomes altruistic, then it actually flows better. You're less focused about the money in the bank, and that actually becomes a byproduct. It comes anyway.
Absolutely.
When you're there, when you want to give value, when you want to help somebody, you have that authentic intention to help others. It really does come through, and people sense it, energetically. Is this heart-to-heart connection as well? Even people think, oh, how can that be, online? I said it still comes through, even online, in the virtual space, and obviously it's more powerful person to person in the flesh, because our heart can be measured several feet away. Is that heart energy, and that's how we connect with others, and that's how we make a sale. It's not, people make decisions initially on the emotions, and they validate with the head, don't they? So if you want to win your clients over, you've got to connect first with them.
Absolutely.
Emotionally. Yeah.
I'm really loving what I'm hearing from you, because first of all, I want to say a huge congratulations on taking yourself into this entrepreneurial journey, because not many people do. So I think that's, and it takes a lot of guts to move from corporates into an entrepreneurial world. But then above and beyond that, the work that you're doing with your clients, it really strikes me as so important, because we're coming out of, and I say coming out of, I'm maybe giving my age away a little bit as well, but we're coming out of the generation where everything was sort of, prescribed for you. So it was go to university, get a job, make sure you pay into your pension every month, and at age 60 or 65 retire, and then enjoy your golden years and waffle off the mortal coil around about 70, 75 again. Now we're living a lot longer, first of all, and our generation and the younger generation is going, we're spending so much time at work. Wouldn't it be great if we also actually enjoyed what we do?
Definitely.
What a novel concept that is. And so, for when I meet people like you who are then going, right, how does this feel for you as the client? And teaching them how to sink into those feelings so that they can lead from the heart, and like you say, and then validate with the mind, then everything becomes so much better, because now you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing for yourself. And like you say, the bank balance just grows automatically as sort of a byproduct. I think that is just beautiful.
Yeah. And to be honest, we are becoming more aware, more conscious. And previously, we were told there were certain expectations from our parents, and it was no fault of their own. It was this idea that, you try and do your best, you get your qualifications. There's no guarantees anymore. That's the trouble. There's no guarantees.
That's it. Exactly.
Starbucks employs the most graduates you can imagine, I think, it's a waste of resource when you think about it like that. Yes,
absolutely.
If they've studied and they've spent all that money and they're in debt for it, and there's no guarantee of a job at the end. And yeah. I it's pre-approved. I've got 2 degrees, and I would say it's never a guarantee. I was in that job. When was I there? 2017. Then I was made redundant last year. But even there, where they thought they had, because COVID obviously rocked the boat, many people's boats, but nobody could foresee that. But there's no guarantee. But at least when you take responsibility for yourself, you're not beholden to somebody else to pay into. Okay, there is a bit of vulnerability there, because it really, when you start being your own entrepreneur, it does take you through that maelstrom of, the turmoil, the feelings of like, can I do this whole idea of, do I trust myself? Do I believe in myself enough? So it is quite a roller coaster. You do go high, you get the highs and get the lows. But isn't it better just being reliant on yourself and being at the helm, rather than sort of, subservient or beholden to somebody else, and they're dictating your terms? Yeah. And when you are employed yourself, if you truly believe in what you do and have, and as I say, I align to your higher purpose, what I say the Dharma, then it has significance, it has meaning for you, and then flows out to others who you have your own energetically matched clients. I say that there's enough. So in this, this idea of being this abundance universe, there is no shortage. We are always educated to think that resources are scarce, and society, media, politicians always belabor that, because we're in that old paradigm, that old way of thinking. And to be honest, I think the government wants us to be in paid jobs, because they want all that. Because when you're self-employed, there's a ways around getting out to pay too much tax. But the government wants us in paid employment, because they get more taxes out of us and so forth. and they actually marking it up. Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but when you've got sort of tools like this to work through your own doubts and hesitations, because I think and most people come to me and they say, well, I don't know which route, I don't know whether to do that. And I've had somebody recently, should I be an image consultant, should I be a counselor? I really like the counselling, it really speaks to me. I said, well, if that speaks to you more, then that's something that you should be looking at, really listening into your heart. What's it telling you, rather than what's I've trained in this for 2 years, I spent this much money, should I not work on that because I need to get my investment back, return on investment? But I said, no, if it's just your head thinking that and your heart's not connected, you don't feel that passion, that fire,
you're not aligned.
Then you're not aligned, you're not on the right path. And I said, just really connect back. And and then if it does mean you've got to sort of invest again, then invest again, because you just got to follow the breadcrumb trail, as I say, the breadcrumb trail, and then you take each, and we have to take the action. People think, if we're just in high flow energy, then everything will magically be drawn to us in this quantum field, but it doesn't work like that. You need to take the universe expects us to take appropriate action in
Absolutely.
alignment with, and
I like
but
that point.
yeah, but we have this, we always sort of trying to second guess ourselves and doubting ourselves and thinking, oh, I don't know. But I think is you don't get the clarity until you actually take some steps, even if it's a micro step, because you will always get knocked back on course. So karma is just basically a way of getting us, knocking us back. It's not something negative. It's just something that, like, it'll flick on the wrist to say, that's not your path. Get back where you were.
Yes,
Or back
absolutely.
on this other trajectory, because that's where you should be. And it's just being receptive. So when we're too much in our head energy, so this is why I work very much on getting back in flow, getting out of the headspace, that in the busyness, the head is just too busy.
Oh,
it's
yes.
always wanting to control. We also need to release that, surrender that control a bit, because it is a base of the flow does need to be, ready to. It's like that reed in the breeze, it needs to be able to flex and bend and go with the flow, literally with our own flow. So if we're too regimented in our thoughts, then when we get stuck and we won't be able to sort of go with that flow. And every little step is a micro action. It's a way, and it needs to be always, you need to have this self-awareness to say, does this feel right? Do I feel right in this moment? And then when you are more aware, then you're on the right track. Then you take the next step. If it feels right, you carry on.
Right.
And you just follow those crumbs.
Exactly.
And if you do get off, something like I've had that episode where a couple of months ago, and I was in a group and I befriended somebody, and then they reported me to the group owner, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I was a little bit too forthright, or too, like, come into my group, maybe I was a bit too presumptuous. That's the word, presumptuous. She would be interested in what I had to offer. But it was a little slap. And I thought, that's just a message from wherever. I need to get back on course. And that is not an aligned step. So,
Absolutely.
And I felt it in a way. I thought, I don't feel great after that. So I just noting it, but being aware and then taking the right steps then when you are aware.
Oh, for sure. Right. So you are doing this incredible work. You're teaching people. I mean, I love what you've just said now about, karma or the universe, whatever people want to call it, realigning you and readjusting you. And if you're aware of it, then you're able to take appropriate action to move back into alignment. So you're doing this amazing work with women who you're trying to teach how to stay aligned so that they're not just making money and making bank, they're also having a great time doing it. How do new clients get in touch with you? If people want to reach out, seeing this video, how should they get in touch?
Well, I'm most present on Facebook. So I have my Facebook group. It's called Banquet of Life. So that's free to join. On my web. So I'm actually about to do a new 3-day sort of like Zoom training.
Right.
And I'm scheduling that for early May. So I haven't quite fixed the date, so I'm going to just manipulate a few things. Not manipulate, but work out my diary, because I've got a few other things, because I've got more, my therapy centre's back open, so I've got clients that I need to serve as well. Yes. Which I'm enjoying.
Of course.
But yeah, so, but the 3 days, it's all about, so the first day will be all about you are the conscious creator. So if you are stuck, that means you have created that somehow with your thoughts, your beliefs, and being aware of that, and then the steps to actually relinquish that stuckness, and how to be more present, aware in the moment. And then and this idea of listening to the heart, so as the source of, our higher voice, if you like, that's truly aligned with our intrinsic purpose. So we all have this special, expressive, a unique gift, a new way of serving, whether that's a unique lesson in life, or that's a unique talent, but we are here to use that in service of others, and it's for us to determine or work out how that looks for us and for them. So so the expression will change according to the individual, but overall we're here to serve. Of course. And and it's not for, in so doing, though, we are expanding our own energy. We are becoming more joyful, more happy, because that's the only true meaning is helping others. When you actually just looking after yourself, people that are only there for the money, their life, even for all the money in the world, they're often unhappy because deep down something is missing, and it's often this connection. We are wired to be, beautifully heart connected with other people, and without that, then we are hollow, really. And all the material stuff won't make a blind bit of difference. You can have, lovely yachts, you can have a beach house, wherever in Santa Monica, whatever, but nothing will sort of, exactly. So the second day I'll be talking about the passion and purpose. So literally connecting to what their true expression of their gifts is, identifying what that is. And then the third day, I take them into I give them a homework on the second day to listen to a visualization. So then day 3, I tell them exactly the steps to create what we call choices. These are line choices. It's like an affirmation, but it's more powerful than that. It's a way of connecting really to their vision in a powerful, creative way, so that it does come. And then I part company with them if they want it, or they can carry on the journey with me. If they want to take it a step further, they need then the help in terms of if it's a business they want to start up or they want to improve their business, then they can work further with me. And then I have this program called the Midlife Passionpreneur, which I've just literally finished putting to bed. But I have had a beta client working through it, the content, to just so that it sits right. And she is what I would say my ideal client. So she was a leadership. So she's been in adult education field for a long time, training leaders and in leadership and in management. She's but she had a bit of a sideways knock at one point, and a lot of self-doubt, and it's all to do with the relationship with mother, and lots of things connected with that. And she was also struggling to get her own coaching business off the ground. But working with me, she also does a bit of what's called the EFT stuff, the emotional freedom technique, tapping, but she used the energy light method, and we did quite a few one-on-one sessions. But she also started looking at the course, and her life has just somersaulted. She's in a totally different place from when we connected last, when was it, May, June last year. And she's now in a very secure, well-paid job, local to her as well. She didn't have to travel, because she was fearing that, having to travel long distance and to get a well-paid job. But it's more or less on her doorstep. But she's also starting to look at developing her coaching business again. So she's in a much higher flow state, in a much more beneficial place. All the ducks seem to be lining up, which is good, because it's a good testimony. She can't thank me enough. She says, I want to write as many testimonials as possible for you. You've been such a big help. And I'm here in terms of the marketing of her own business when she gets to that point. But yeah, so she's sort of vetted that course, and I think it's very powerful. So originally it was going to be a 3-month sort of journey, but I put so much content into it. I think it's going to be a 6-month program now, and in a way it's better because people then can really embed this stuff, this learning, and apply it, and it will then actually be more transformative, I think, than
fantastic.
3 months.
Well, Esther, it has been an absolute joy to have you here today. And as I mentioned, this is a recording, but for those of you who are catching this on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, the link to the various groups that Esther has spoken about today will be in the comment section. And Esther is also one of our speakers on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. So as always, the link to that is in the bio, and you can click through and get the premium content that Esther has shared with us there. Esther, it has been an absolute joy. Thank you for sharing your light with the world and teaching more people to lead from the heart. I think that is just such a beautiful and incredible mission.
The other point is, it's never too late. I mean, I'm 56, I'll be 57 later this year. It's never too late, because, I've been knocked off course a couple of times, but, when we realize that there is power within us, there's a power to make a difference. And then when we wake up to that our own potential, the sky's the limit, and it doesn't matter when that happens. There's
Absolutely.
been so many famous figures in history who've actually, discovered their dharma late in life, and made it a success as well.
That is actually so true. It's never too late. I think so many people think to themselves that, oh, I'm this age, or you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Nonsense. It's never too late. Esther, thank you for leaving us with that last bit of wisdom. And we hope to have you back very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.